everyone, my name is Colleen Miller. I am a first-year teacher in Pinellas County, Florida, and I am a VE resource teacher, and I work with children on the spectrum in my position at my job. And I chose visual support because at the end of last year, my final internship, I was lucky enough to be released from my internship, and I had the opportunity to work as an ASD teacher in an ASD classroom for the last 2 months of the school year. And the classroom was set up and it already had visual supports in it, and I just saw how much the students really did benefit and how much it helped them to have these visual supports. Now, visual supports are a means used to assist students with autism spectrum disorder, and other students, by the way, in grasping what is being asked of them, not only in their lessons that we're teaching them, but also socially, for social skills. Honestly, you can use visual support for anything. They could be used at home to work with the children. Now, visuals give support to our students because they provide them with an example of what's being asked of them. And anytime you have an example, even when we're doing our college work, when there's an example to follow, it makes life a lot easier. Now, these concrete supports can be presented in many different ways across various settings, and I'll be showing you some of them today. Now, example of visual support. First one I have is TEACH, the Treatment and Education of Autistic and Communication-Related Handicapped Children. Now, TEACH is an evidence-based service, training, and research program for individuals of all ages and skill levels with autism. TEACH developed the intervention approach called structured teaching, which is based on understanding the learning characteristics of individuals with autism and the use of visual supports to promote meaning and independence. Now, there's another example I have here also, and this would be the Picture Exchange Communication System, PECS. PECS is a form of augmented and alternative communication produced by Pyramid Educational Consultants Incorporated. Now, both of these are examples, but I want to tell you, you can do this on your own. They're just a simpler way of doing it would be to get cardboard or even paper, and then if you're lucky enough to have Boardmaker at your school, that would be wonderful, because then the pictures are already on it. Boardmaker has pretty much any picture you can think of needing. So you cut it, you print the picture, you cut it out, put it over top of your cardboard. If you can laminate it, it's going to last for a lot longer, and your main expense is going to be the Velcro that you need, because you're going to want to either tack them up in the classroom or Velcro them to a board like a first then board. I'll show you an example of that too. Or right on the student's desk. I had it in my classroom last year where I'd Velcro, and I would just put up what they were doing at that time and then what was coming up next for them. And it made them just get through what they had to do to get to whether it was a break or lunch or whatever came next. Now, students need visuals because, why do students need visuals? Because visuals show what's coming up next. Visuals catch the student's attention. They keep the student's attention. And this focus that they have when they are focused on something reduces their anxiety, which is wonderful. Because as we all know, a lot of times our students with autism have a lot of anxiety going on. Another thing, visuals benefit everybody. They benefit every single student in your classroom, whether or not they're autistic. Visuals will clarify concepts. They take abstract concepts and they make them more concrete for the student. They help students understand sequencing, develop routines, they help with transitions, and they also prompt the student to what they're supposed to be doing, which is a great thing because it keeps them motivated and going on their work. And why do visual supports work? Why do visual supports work? Sometimes students with autism have a difficult time processing auditory information, but visually, they're able to make sense of it. It all just fits into place. A lot of times when you're talking to a student with autism, they have 1,000 other things going on in their head, but if they're able to look at it themselves, it just seems to settle down and make more sense to them. And even though visuals help all students, you can use the visuals in the classroom if you have students without autism to gain the attention of that one student without interrupting the entire class. Just by walking over and tapping on something that they're supposed to be doing, You can keep on talking as you tap. The student that you're trying to get the attention of realizes it and focuses a little better, and then you can just keep right on teaching. Another thing, visual supports are easier to fade than verbal prompts. Students are able to be more independent when they use visual supports, and it's a lot easier for the student to just be doing the work themselves than having to have you keep going over and saying it to them. When students have it right in front of them, they're less likely to question or argue the task. When it's velcroed up on their desk and they see what they're supposed to be doing, it's less of a chance of them coming back at you, I don't want to do this. It just seems to flow better. Now, let's see what else we got going on here. Examples of visual support used in the classroom. Okay. This is a first, then response board. For example, this would probably be something more at home, but it could be for nap time for really young students. First, I rest. Then I have playtime. First, I put on my helmet. Then I ride my bicycle. First, I have circle time. After circle time, I have art. Here is one that I got from a classroom. It's a first, then. And I want to say, it might look a little tacky, but it gets the job done. I don't know if you can see right here, there's little Velcro dots. And then that's where the teacher's going to put up what she wants the student to do. Here it is with another example, same classroom. The students are going to go to PE. After PE, they have science. This exact first then chart was made for a student that loves science. They don't like going to PE. They love going to science. So in order to get the student to go through the PE to get to science, she made this for them. PE, then you get science. This one here is from that same classroom. When you first walk in the door, this is up for every single student. The first thing they have to do is hang up their backpack. Then if they have a coat, that gets hung up. There's a special spot for all the lunch boxes to go. Then they have to take their folder out and put it in the basket. The students, within the first, I'd say about maybe 2 weeks of school, were able to do this by themselves and just walk in the classroom and at least get this done before they sat down to breakfast. This is a visual I really liked. I don't know if you can see it up here. We all have been in classrooms and you see the ABCs up at the top, but look at the pictures that are with these. This is wonderful. It's not just teaching the children how to form the letters, but there's an example of what starts with that. H, heart. And then this is a student's daily schedule. This is helping that student, I hope you can see this clear. This is helping that student do everything they have to do. They get in, they unpack their stuff. They follow that chart I showed you originally. Then it's time for breakfast. They have a sensory break. It's difficult for me to see it too. They have computer time, snack, social skills, PE. They have to trace their letters. They have flashcards that they do and writing. There's story time, lunchtime, number sequence. Then it's time for science, pack up for the day, and there's the yellow bus signaling to the student that it's time to go home. This daily schedule here lets this little boy named Tanner get through his day a little more peacefully than it normally would. Here's a daily schedule with a picture next to it. Again, visuals. They do calendar time first thing, reading and writing, cafeteria, here's PE, snack, math, science, social skills, centers. Then they prepare for dismissal, and you can see the little backpacks getting filled up. And then it's dismissal time. I really enjoyed this one. This was in another classroom. Look at this. It's the question words, and she made it into the form of a question mark. And she put on it who, what, when, where, why. And then exclamation words. Oh, this was cute. Stop. Yikes. Help. Awesome. Ouch. Well, I thought that was pretty clever how she did that to teach the children the difference between a question mark and an exclamation point. Now, this one here has the children's class rules on it. And what they're supposed to do is written over here, but next to it she has a picture for everything, just to try to help the students understand. Number 4, keep our bodies to ourselves. And then she has an X mark where a little boy looks to be touching another little boy. Then she had all the students sign it. You can see all their names down here. This is something that we talked about. I talked about with another teacher about this. She made this, and you can tell it's a little bear sitting in a chair reading a book, and underneath of it you can see all the teacher's books. What you can't see is on the floor, she's got little chairs down there, and that's where the children go to have a little quiet time to read. And she told me that she put this up with the intention of putting more words up here, and then it actually worked so well, just the little picture here of the bear in the chair, that she never had to say anything. She never had to do anything else to it. She just left it like this. But she told me that if she knew I was taking a picture of it, she would have done something else to it. I told her if it works, that's all that matters. Now this was pretty interesting too. She's got all the voice levels. The first one, voice level 0, was perfectly quiet. Whisper was voice level 1, and it went up to, I think, voice level 4. And she had pictures of all of them hanging around the room. And 4 was a conversational tone that you could be talking in, and it showed 2 kids talking together. But that's very, very handy. And this here is something I used in the classroom with my students last year when I was the substitute teacher in an ASD room. I hope you can see this good. This was wonderful. There's a little metal ring on it, and everything I needed I could just flip through. I had one student in particular last year that needed help in the bathroom. He would not tell me when it was time to go to the bathroom, so he had many accidents. And finally I figured out this thing here, and I would about every hour and a half take it over to him with the bathroom card out, and eventually we stopped having our accidents because he would point to it. He was nonverbal, but he was able to point to it when it was time to go, which was nice. Let's see. Bear with me a second. So, think about this when you follow a recipe. I don't know about you, but I'm a really good cook. Yet I still love it when I find a recipe that there's a picture of, because I don't know, it just seems to make it a lot easier for me to follow that recipe when I have a picture I can look at, even though I will flat out say I like to cook, I'm a good cook, but I love it when I have a recipe with a picture attached. And then it's important to remember that a student will not immediately know how to use their visual support system, and that's okay. If you continue to expose them to it, if you're patient and keep explaining, your students will benefit from the use of visuals, and that's the truth, honestly. Anyway, I hope this helped you. My name's Colleen Miller, and I want to thank you for watching my video.